I do too many podcasts. So this week I decided to use a new method to see how it affected my productivity. And it was crazy. Let me show you what happened. It all started when I got an email from someone asking me about my podcast process. They said, "How do you manage to make so many podcasts?" To be honest, I don't know. I love doing them and I find them very relaxing. But they require a lot of time and focus. It's hard to find time in your day that's not filled with distractions. This is especially true now that I work full-time and have other side hustles as well. There are so many distractions everywhere you look. Your phone is blowing up, emails are piling up, and there's a million tabs open on your computer. This is why I was happy to hear from someone who wrote a book called Deep Work. In it, he talks about a method he developed to help people focus better and get more done. He calls it Deep Work. So I thought it would be fun to try this method out for myself and document the results. Not only did I want to test it out, but also I wanted to show you guys that it works, because if you can't trust me to review a product or service fairly, then I don't deserve your business. That's just how I roll. So here's what happened when I tried this for a week. On Sunday morning, I opened my calendar and blocked off a 2-hour block of time between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., where I was going to do nothing else except for reading. I put on my noise-canceling headphones and made sure my phone was on silent. Then I sat down and started reading at 9 a.m. sharp. For the first few minutes, I felt uncomfortable. It was weird to sit down with a book and not be doing anything else. I kept checking my phone and looking at the clock. It didn't help that my dog kept barking outside, which distracted me even more. But after about 20 minutes, something amazing happened. I relaxed. I found myself actually enjoying the book and could feel my stress levels dropping. After an hour of reading, I felt completely refreshed and ready to start my week. But this is where things got interesting. Usually on Monday mornings, I'm swamped with emails and messages. I spend most of the day catching up and trying to respond to everything. But because I had used up all my willpower on Sunday by forcing myself to read for 2 hours, I wasn't able to focus on my emails and messages effectively. I found myself getting distracted and taking breaks way more often than usual, and it took me almost the entire day to catch up on everything. In the end, I felt exhausted and burnt out from trying to focus on emails and messages all day long. On Tuesday, I did the same thing again. I set aside 2 hours in the morning to read, and then I went back to work. This time it was easier to focus on my tasks because I had already trained my brain to be more disciplined the day before. I was able to get more done in less time and still felt energized at the end of the day. On Wednesday, I did the same thing again. I read for 2 hours in the morning, and then I went back to work. This time, it was easier to focus on my tasks because I had already trained my brain to be more disciplined the day before. I was able to get more done in less time and still felt energized at the end of the day. On Thursday, I did the same thing again. I read for 2 hours in the morning, and then I went back to work. This time, it was easier to focus on my tasks because I had already trained my brain to be more disciplined the day before. I was able to get more done in less time and still felt energized at the end of the day. And finally, on Friday, I did the same thing again. I read for 2 hours in the morning, and then I went back to work. This time, it was easier to focus on my tasks because I had already trained my brain to be more disciplined the day before. I was able to get more done in less time and still felt energized at the end of the day. So what happened when I tried this for a week? Well, I found that by spending just 2 hours every Sunday morning reading, I was able to train my brain to be more focused throughout the rest of the week. Even though I couldn't work as efficiently on the weekdays as I normally do because I spent all my willpower reserves on Sunday, I still got more done overall and felt better at the end of each day. I also noticed that I was less stressed out and found myself reaching for my phone a lot less during the day. It was nice to take a break from the constant distractions and actually enjoy some peace and quiet. Now, you might be wondering why I chose to read for 2 hours every Sunday morning instead of working on one of my side hustles or projects. Well, I did that intentionally. See, the whole point of deep work is to be able to focus deeply on whatever task you're working on. When you're in deep work mode, you shouldn't be thinking about anything else. You should be fully immersed in the task at hand. So if I wanted to do deep work on one of my projects, I wouldn't be able to focus as deeply if I was also thinking about the fact that I needed to read for 2 hours later that day. By doing the reading first, I was able to clear my mind of all distractions and focus entirely on my work. Now, you might be thinking, why don't you just do deep work for 2 hours every day? Well, it's because I found that if I try to do deep work for too long, I start to lose focus. My mind wanders and I start thinking about other things I need to do. That's why I limit myself to just 2 hours every Sunday morning. It's enough time to train my brain to be more focused throughout the rest of the week without burning myself out. I know what you're thinking. Just 2 hours of reading won't make that much of a difference, right? Well, let me tell you, it does. Think about it. If you spend 2 hours every day scrolling through social media, you're probably not going to feel very focused or productive afterwards. But if you spend 2 hours every day reading, you'll probably feel more relaxed and focused. And if you do that consistently, it will eventually train your brain to be more focused throughout the rest of the week. I know it's hard to break old habits and start new ones, but it's worth it. I felt so much better at the end of each day knowing that I had accomplished something and I wasn't just wasting my time scrolling through social media. Plus, reading is a great way to learn new things and expand your knowledge. You can learn about different perspectives and ways of thinking, which can help you become a more well-rounded individual. So I highly recommend giving this a try. Set aside 2 hours every Sunday morning to read and see how it affects your focus and productivity throughout the week. You may be surprised at how much of a difference it can make. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. And hey, don't forget to check out my newsletter. Thanks for watching. See you next time.